like to thank the grace of heaven, virtues of the masters, compassion of our grand predecessors, transmitters, lecturers, and everyone in this class for giving me this opportunity to share today's topic on 12 relinquishments. Good evening, everyone. The 12 relinquishment is Holy Teacher's scripture from 2018 in California. This scripture is to help us in our journey of cultivation, to get rid of our emotions and to live a happier life. We must let go of these relinquishments in order to return to absolute heaven. These relinquishments are weighing us down. It's a heavy burden for us to carry, and we cannot transcend from this earthly realm unless we all let go. Let's start with the first one. Let go of confrontation. Learn to be loving and create a harmonious life. Confrontation is an angry disagreement. It implies hostility. A confrontation can involve actual violence or just a clash of words, a situation in which there is anger between people or groups who disagree because they have different opinions, and a confrontation will arise. We've all been there at some point in our life. A conflict arises at work that we want to face head on, but aren't quite sure how to do so without making an enemy of our coworkers. This can also happen at home with our family or even friends, with our neighbors, and even with strangers that we do not know. For example, we might become so irritated about our upstairs neighbor's loud, awful music that a confrontation is unavoidable. However, if it's just a one-time thing, then we can tolerate it once and let it go. But if this goes on every single day or every single week, then it'll be endless. Instead of confronting the neighbor directly, we can ask the landlord or the building management to talk to them. Just make sure they do not mention who made the complaint, or they will make our life miserable. Family confrontations are easier to deal with, but we must speak kindly and nicely. Don't let everything that comes out of our mouth be harsh, insulting, and full of complaints. Confrontation in couples. Directly express the problems. Don't blame your partner. Stick to one argument at a time. Do not bring out all the old arguments from the past. It would lead to more confusion. Communication is the key. Be open-minded. Always put ourselves in the other person's shoe to see where their point of view is. How to stay calm during disagreement or arguments. Calming down in the moment. Try breathing exercises to calm down and work it out. Try to come to an agreement. Listen to our child or children. Never ignore what a child has to say. Make a plan. Take action by using I statements so other person does not get offended. If we use you, the other person will feel we are attacking them. Pay attention to our child's behavior. There has to be a reason for there to be a confrontation. How to avoid confrontations. Mutual respect. Respect means that each person values the other person and understands the other person's boundaries. Trust. Partnership place trust in each other. Honesty. Be honest to each other. Compromise. Meet in the middle. Everyone gives in a little. Individuality. Understand each other's personality. Good communication. Talk it out instead of holding it in. Anger control. We must learn to control that anger and not blow up every time we get angry. No one enjoys being confronted. No one wants to confront others. Most of us avoid it like a plague. We will much rather talk about other things than confrontations. If the issue is a minor issue that we can let go and overlook, it will be better for all involved. For example, my next door neighbor's garbage always gets blown to my house. It's not that they do it on purpose. They are just not aware. Because They do cover the cans, but not tightly. So when it gets windy, it gets blown off, and all the garbage will be blown into our house. So what do? I can confront them about it, but they may take it as a complaint and can make my life miserable. These are not the owners. They are the tenants that rent the apartments in the house. So they wouldn't care less. I always keep in mind that getting along with neighbors is one of the principles of Tao. What is the worst scenario? I have to pick up the papers or the garbage that gets blown to my yard or sweep it up. I told myself, it's no big deal. It's not heavy work and I can live with it. So I decided not to say anything and just clean it up when I need to. This way, there is harmony with our neighbors. Neighbors are very important. They can hurt us or they can choose to be a good friend with us. So how we deal with the matter depends on our attitude and how composed we are when talking to them. So always make sure that we get along with our neighbors because they can be very good friends when we are in need of their help. Holy Teacher says, be sincere and respectful at all times while we are dealing and interacting with people. Then there will not be any gap between people when we interact with others. We can focus on the good qualities of each individual and learn to love them with kindness and compassion. We will be able to let go of confrontations and our life will be harmonious without conflicts. Number 2, let go of suspicions. Learn to trust and create a beautiful life. Suspicion is a thought of mistrust in which a person doubts the honesty of another person or believes another person to be guilty of some type of wrongdoing or crime, but without sure proof. We doubt the other person and do not trust them, either in action or in words. This will cause a lot of conflicts between the parties involved. These suspicious thoughts could develop into paranoia. For example, when we see 2 or more people talking, we immediately get suspicious that these people are talking or saying bad things about us. The more we get suspicious like that, the more that can develop into a paranoia. Paranoia is a thought process that can result in people experiencing irrational mistrust and suspicion of others. This pattern of delusional thinking may involve feelings of harassment, making a person think they are in a constant state of danger. This type of thought is the type of anxious thought. Anxiety can cause paranoia, affecting what we are paranoid about and how long the feeling lasts. These are irrational mistrust of others. If we are cultivators, we should not and cannot let this type of suspicions arise in our thoughts. So, what if these people are talking about it? It's okay, not a big deal. We cannot control other people's mouth, but we can control our own mind. Just learn to ignore them and walk away, or we will always get suspicious of others when we see them talking. In instances like these, we are creating our own misery. I always tell myself, if others are saying bad things about me, it's okay. Words do not kill me. I will not be affected by others' gossips. If we are suspicious of our partner, we must address our suspicions calmly instead of nagging them or giving them the silent treatment. Find out where these suspicions stems from. If there is a genuine problem, we must address it. If our partner is not actually cheating, it is important to find out why we feel this way. If we have no logical reason, simply let go of it. A suspicious mind and manner not just erodes relationships, but our very own self. We lose dignity and degrade ourselves by doubting, suspecting, spying, and questioning. How to overcome suspicions. Trust and respect people around us. If we can trust others, it will not arouse suspicions in us. Self-reflect. Understand ourselves. and why we feel suspicious toward others. Do not overthink a situation. Try to keep active. Do something we enjoy doing. It'll take our mind away from these negative thoughts. Spend time in nature. Holy teacher used to tell us to go and hug a tree or walk barefoot on the grass. The natural elements has a lot of positive energy that we can absorb into our body. Holy teacher says, while speculating about people, we are indeed doing harm to the soul because we are using an unkind heart to speculate on others. Sometimes things are not necessarily true, even when we have witnessed them with our own eyes. Pay respect to everyone, whether they are good or bad people. Suspecting people will only widen the gap. The wider the gap, the less harmony there is in society. We have got to understand ourselves, and the people around us will naturally become our confidants. If we do not understand ourselves and suspect others all the time, then we will not understand ourselves or others and cannot conquer anything. Before taking any actions, we need to look into our heart and think thoroughly. Then every move we make will be totally under control, and we will have a better chance to achieve our goal and to understand others. Number 3, let go of indifference. Learn to be caring and create a blessed life. Indifference means lack of interest, concern, or sympathy toward others, not caring toward the suffering of others, having no bias, prejudice, or preference, impartial, disinterested. Indifference may occur when the problems of our life, our families or communities, our country and our world may seem so overwhelming that we feel quite powerless to do anything about them. This means that even when we notice what is going on around us, we may feel unable to make a difference. While it can be harmless and normal to experience, it can also be harmful. The indifference and unresponsiveness can leave others feeling exhausted and also lead to their making bad decisions since they don't care. The opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. For example, if our spouse or partner doesn't call and just ignore us, or a parent who neglected us, this is indifference, a sense of being without emotion or feeling. Indifference is something that hurts those who are already suffering pain. It's a lack of recognition to their humanity and therefore dignity. Indifference can affect our motivation and leave us feeling detached from the world. We might stop caring about everyday tasks, hobbies, or personal interests. We may struggle to show interest and enthusiasm in our personal relationships, a way to withdraw from others. How to stop indifference? Sleep well. In order to treat others well, we must feel good by getting enough sleep. Exercise. Try to exercise every day. Holy teacher tells us to walk at least 30 minutes every day. When we are outside, the fresh air and sunshine will do wonders for our mood. Connect with others. Push ourselves to get out and spend time with friends, even if we don't want to go. Avoid negative and depressed situations and people. It will only make us feel worse. Keep a positive outlook in life and try to be happy at all times. Try something new. Try music or art therapy classes. These has been shown to help with indifference. When we put a special effort into the indifference feeling we have, we can turn around and make our life happier. In order to have empathy for others, we must first have love for ourselves, and that love will be able to be passed on to others. We will then have empathy or the ability to identify, relate, and feel compassion for a person, particularly a person who is suffering or hurting. How to fix indifference in a relationship? Figure out the problem. Sit down with your spouse and try to determine what kinds of bad habits have led us become indifferent. Learn to respect, love, and care for others more. When we show our kindness to the other person, they will appreciate us more. Try to do new things together. Set goals together. As a couple, we should have the same common goal. Number 4, let go of criticism. Learn to compliment and create a happy life. Criticism is the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on finding faults or mistakes. Criticism can be constructive or negative, depending on the person's intention, how it is presented, and how the person being criticized perceives it. It can take the form of a scolding, a correction, or simply a remark, and it can be spoken or written. 3 types of criticism. Destructive criticism. It's vicious and harsh. It's a negative feedback that is often incorrect, uncalled for, or downright malicious, and can cause harm or even destroy someone's work, reputation, or self-esteem. 2. Constructive criticism builds together and it defines a problem and offers solutions. 3. Instructive criticism. It adds on to what someone knows. When we do self-reflection, we sometimes give ourselves self-criticism. At one point or another, we feel like we could have done more or that we didn't give our all towards a certain task. This type of self-criticism is to improve ourselves. Criticism can lead to anger. When we criticize someone, it can lead to misunderstandings. Think of all the negative emotions that the other person can build up over time: anger, resentment, and frustration. As a cultivator, when we are being criticized by others, always think of it as a constructive criticism, never a destructive criticism, even though the person meant it as a destructive criticism. What is the root cause of criticism? We criticize because we somehow felt devalued by the behavior or attitude. Critical people tend to be easily insulted and especially in need of ego defense. Critical people were often criticized in early childhood by caretakers, siblings, or peers at an age when criticism can be especially painful. So when they become adults, they too turn out to be critical of others. Criticism may be more of a reflection of that person than of us. Sometimes people are critical because they are projecting their own insecurities on us. For example, if a friend feels insecure about their own body, they may criticize or make negative comments about our body. We criticize others because we are impatient. We don't tolerate those who behave differently or move at a different pace. We expect people to behave like we would. We would focus on someone else's faults. Criticism is hurtful and demoralizing and may grow to resent the person doing the criticizing. If we're in a relationship where criticism becomes an issue, it's important to talk it out calmly between the parties involved. Criticism is toxic. We make the other person feel inadequate, and we ourselves will become emotionally drained and unhealthy. Holy Teacher says, give more and demand less. Give more compliments and less criticism. Be more understanding and less critical. Be more grateful and less complaining. Complaints and unhappiness are caused by human relationships. It is all about how we interact with other people. Cultivate our heart to be big, accepting, and tolerant. Accepting others' opinions. A true cultivator needs to nurture the virtues of respect, generosity, trustworthiness, agility, and kindness. Therefore, if we let go and stop criticizing instead learn to compliment others, focus on their good qualities and not their bad imperfections, we will create a happy life, not only for others, but also for ourselves. Number 5, let go of bickering. Learn to be magnanimous and create an expansive life. Bickering is to argue about petty and trivial matters. Bickering becomes a habit, especially between couples. 3 main reasons why people bicker. They are stressed, bad timing, and tired. Children tend to bicker all the time. If kids are bickering, give them some space to work out their differences on their own. We must stay calm and just let them argue it out. How to stop bickering with someone. Adopt a positive outlook. Stop the need to be right all the time. Take a moment to chill. Stay on the point. Talk about each other's feelings. Take a deep breath before saying something mean. Remember the good times. Show the other person that we understand them. There's a 3-day rule after an argument. It's a common practice in relationships where individuals agree to take a 3-day relationship break from each other after heated disagreement. During this time, both parties cool off, reflect on their feelings and thoughts, and avoid communication with each other. So after 3 days, they should be more calm and composed, and then we can talk it out. Getting control of our anger during a conflict. Slow down. Question our emotional reactions. Think before we speak. Empathize with the other person. There are 4 simple statements to use to stop an argument. Let me think about that. You may be right. I understand. And I'm sorry. Anger can be caused by a number of different things. Factors such as our personality, our relationships, our coping style, and our stress levels. These factors can all play a part in determining how much anger we experience in response to different situations and triggers. Signs of anger issues. Hurting others either verbally or physically. Always find ourselves feeling angry. Feel that our anger is out of control. Frequently regret something that we've said or done when angry. Notice that small or petty things make us angry. These are all signs. When we find ourselves with these issues, take deep breaths to calm down. Take a walk outside and keep telling ourselves to calm down and not blow up. When we do this every time, we will find that our anger issues will become less and less. Don't release our anger at the other person as soon as we get angry. We will say the most ugly and hurtful things when we are angry, and we can never take our words back. Anger can be a symptom of certain mental health conditions, including intermittent explosive disorder, bipolar disorder, and disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. We may also experience irritability or frustration if we live with depression or anxiety. We would need to seek medical help if we have any of these conditions. Holy Teacher says, being a person, we need to learn how to tolerate and forgive others. People's mistakes are tests of our magnanimity and capacity to tolerate and forgive them. If there are 2 people trying to accuse each other to the point that neither wins and both are in serious trouble, then it usually greatly benefits both of them if one of them can admit his own fault. Let go of bickering. Learn to be magnanimous, like Happy Buddha, and create an expansive life. Number 6, let go of envy. Learn to rejoice with others and create a peaceful and auspicious life. Envy is a feeling of discontent or resentment, longing to have someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. For example, we might see a neighbor with a new car or a co-worker get a new job, and we would want the same thing. We might feel a sense of resentment toward the individual for attaining something we want, but have yet to achieve. 2 types of envy. Benign envy, that's kind envy, without any negative feelings. Malicious envy, that includes being hateful and spiteful. Envy is often rooted in a low self-esteem, sometimes from very early childhood needs when the person feels inherently not good enough. An envious person may frequently compare and despair and find themselves wanting. With envy, we feel entitled and deprived. We feel someone, namely heaven, owes us something. Envy is ugly and destructive. Signs of envy. Criticize others' success. Express insincere compliments. Ignore or avoid others. Give us the silent treatment. Compare self to others. Try to get attention from others. Make negative comments about others. These are all signs of envy. We may also try to mimic our behavior and imitate every single thing the other person does. We could go as far as copying their hairstyle, dressing, walking, and talking the same way they do. Envy leads to personal harm and weakness, affecting one's physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being. It will gradually lead to a destructive and remorseful way of life. Ways to ease envy. We have to first acknowledge envy. Replace envy with compassion. Let envy fuel self-improvement. Count our own blessings. Is envy the same as jealousy? Envy means discontented longing for someone's advantages. Jealousy means unpleasant suspicion or fear of rivalship. Jealousy and envy both involve a feeling of desire for what another person has. But jealousy is usually thought to be more negative. It often involves resentment toward the other person. Envy is also a negative feeling, like a mix of admiration and discontent, but the word doesn't usually imply hostility. Overcome envy with love. We thank God for the success of the person we envy. Like Jesus commanded us to pray for our enemies as one way of doing good to them. In other words, be happy for them. Ask God for the further success of the person we envy. Enjoy the gifts God gave to the person we envy. Praise the person we envy. Be happy for the person. And if one day we have something good in our life, others will also be happy for us. Number 7, let go of greedy pursuits. Learn to give and create a content and bountiful life. Greedy pursuits is to chase after selfish and excessive desire for more of something, such as money, than is needed, motivated by ambition and greed. 3 types of greed. Greed for power and success, greed for money, and greed for love. Behaviors of greed. Overly self-centered behavior becomes the first giveaway of greedy people. They only think of themselves and would only do things for their own benefits, not for others. Envy and greed are like twins. When we envy others, we become greedy. Sin comes from greed. People will do anything to get what they want. Greedy people are never satisfied. The more we have, the more we want. Greedy people are experts in manipulation. They will operate or control everything by unfair means to their own advantage. Greed comes with stress, exhaustion, anxiety, depression, and despair. It can lead to a poor behavior pattern, such as gambling, hoarding, trickery, and even theft. In the corporate world, John Grant wrote, "Fraud is the daughter of greed." Traits of a greedy person: have lack of empathy, display selfishness, manipulative, hoard resources, take advantage of others, display of dishonesty and deception, have a sense of entitlement, seek power and control. Greed is a type of selfishness which comes from ignorance of oneself and an over-attachment to desire. What motivates a person to be greedy? Much of the emotional power of greed comes from a form of hope, where the expected reward far exceeds the expected time and cost to be invested, such as gambling, get-rich-quick schemes, and other forms of selling. Simple examples of greed: paying workers a very low salary while making millions for themselves, hiding leftover food from other people while they are starving so one can eat it later for themselves, Student refusing to share their pens with others, even though they have more than enough. These are all examples of greed. Greed can lead to callousness, insensitivity, cruelty, and heartlessness, arrogance, and even tyranny. A person dominated by greed will often ignore the harm their actions can cause other people. Greed can cause suffering. It becomes an innate state of mind. One begins to look at everything in life with greed. Life becomes a game of profit and loss. We start thinking that life would be easy when our desires are fulfilled instantly, but this only aggravates our worries and sufferings, causing a sense of loss. How does greed cause unhappiness? Greed is the uncompromised desire to possess enough wealth, power, ambition, etc., which brings tension and obviously unhappiness. Our desire is not generally bad, but when it's based on selfish motives, it becomes greed. Greedy people are not satisfied with what they have, but instead they want to grab more. Sakyamuni Buddha says, an over-attachment to the material world and its pleasures is at the root of all human suffering. The quality of our life doesn't depend on our clothes, car, or home, but on how peaceful and joyful we are. Holy Teacher says, what should we do when facing the things we are going against our wishes? Take a step backward, and we will see the vastness of the ocean and the sky. A tranquil heart leads to harmony. As we remain tranquil and not seek fame or wealth, we can see truth and remain pure-hearted and desireless. People's desires can never be completely fulfilled. Discipline wards off bodily greed. To avoid greed, we must discipline ourselves. Discipline wards off bodily greed. Be grateful for what we already have. We must have charity. If we have charity, we will not favor. We will not want more than others. We will not steal, and we will not hate others. We should be willing to give to others in order to overcome our greed. Holy Teacher says, not only giving material things, but also giving people confidence and encouragement is a way of giving. Showing our concern with a kind expression in our eyes and speaking good words are effective ways of giving as well. Stretching our hand to people in need is also a helpful way of giving. To ferry people is the best charity. It is the conduct of a sage or a saint and the heart of a bodhisattva. Number 8, let go of anger and hatred. Learn to be gentle and create a relaxed life. Anger and hatred is about pain and inner suffering that is powerful and accompanied by physical tension. They both produce the same physiological responses: increased heart rate and respiration, rising blood pressure, tensed muscles. Anger is co-occurring emotional response, while hatred is an isolated emotional response. We have all experienced anger in our life. Hatred takes a much more extreme emotion. It takes a lot for someone to have hatred towards another person. Hatred can be distinguished from anger by feelings of revenge. Anger focuses on changing and restoring the unjust situation caused by another person. The root cause of hatred is based on issues of power and control. Hatred is often associated with intense feelings of anger, contempt, and disgust. 4 types of anger. Justifiable anger. That's a defensible and reasonable anger. Annoyance anger. It's an irritable anger. Aggressive anger. Violent and hostile. Temper tantrums. Anger outbursts. A person gets angry easily, can be irritable, testy, touchy, and grumpy. one that is easily upset, offended, or angered. Anger is the hardest emotion to control. Anger is complicated. When we get angry, it's because we feel something else that set off our anger. It could be downgraded or disregarded, hurt, disrespected, vulnerable, or neglect. In this way, anger is much more complicated than other emotions. Everyone has their own triggers for what makes them angry, but some common ones include situations in which we feel threatened or attacked, frustrated or powerless, like we're being invalidated or treated unfairly. How to get rid of hatred. Be aware. Pay attention to our spiteful thoughts and words. Identify the source. Explore which issues set hatred into motion. Sit quietly with our hateful emotions and self-reflect. Relax. When we have anger and hatred, we get very tensed. Replace unhealthy thought patterns. That's why we need to be aware of our thoughts constantly and replace hatred thoughts with good positive thoughts. Never dwell on the negative and hateful thoughts, or we may put them into action. Give loving kindness to others, even to those we hate, which is not easy. But if we can do that, we will be able to overcome hatred. Hatred is more often used to describe a very strong feeling of dislike for a particular person or thing. When we are aware we have this hatred towards someone, immediately focus our thoughts onto something that we are happy and enjoy doing. In general, someone who is vindictive might tend to hold grudges and have revenge on their mind when they feel they've been wronged in some way. How to deal with anger and hatred. Think before we speak. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to say something we will later regret. Once we are calm, then express our concerns. Exercise will help us calm down. Take a walk outside. Take time out. Take a break and get out of the place that angers us. Identify positive solutions. There's always a solution to every problem. Don't hold a grudge and have hatred in our mind. Use humor to release tension. Laugh it off. Anger is the most difficult emotion to handle. It can weaken our ability to solve problems effectively. Make good decisions, handle changes, and get along with others. Concerns about anger control are very common. How to overcome bitterness and hatred. Acknowledge our emotions about the harm done to us. Recognize how these emotions affect our behavior and work to release them. Choose to forgive the person who offended us. How to truly forgive someone. Seek compassion. One truly effective way to heal is to find compassion for ourselves or someone else when something happens. Forgiveness is more about healing ourselves than another person. It gives us peace and help to heal deep wounds. Forgiveness is a way to let go of a grudge. When we forgive, we will become free. When we let go, we will start to grow. Forgiveness is a way to end suffering. It is a way to bring dignity and harmony to our life. Be happy, not right. Give it time. Time does a lot of healing. Holy Teacher says, if someone tries to hurt us, then we repay them with good deeds. If someone treats us with anger, we repay them with peace. And if someone treats us with this stubbornness, we repay them with patience. If someone treats us with insincerity, we accept it with sincerity. If someone says hurtful words to us, then we respond in a soft manner. This is a quote from Buddhism. Never blame anyone in our life. Good people give us happiness. Bad people give us experience. Worst people give us a lesson. Best people give us memories. How to control our temper. Holy Teacher says, First, take a deep breath, because when we are angry, it is very easy to pour all our anger onto others and inflict damage on both sides. Therefore, take a deep breath when we get angry. When we feel better as the budding anger is swallowed with the breath. Preventing anger when we are really angry is not an easy thing to do, but to let the air and emotion out is much easier. Let the damaging anger and grudges out with breathing, so that we will not get hurt and others will not be so unfortunate as to fall victim to it. To let our anger out with breathing is a good thing, but to hold it in needs lots of effort. As long as we put in the effort to hold our temper, we will be able to put off our anger. Then everything will be peaceful and be in harmony. This is a hold in and breathe out cultivated exercise. When we have negative and damaging emotions inside, practice this exercise so that we can remain healthy and others will not get hurt. Be relaxed, affirm, and admire ourselves, and things will be great. Number 9, let go of rights and wrongs. Learn to be dispassionate and create a tranquil life. Who is right and wrong? Who decides which is right and which is wrong? The answer is ourself, our conscience, our Buddha nature. Since people have their own perspective and perception towards anything, what is right to one person may be wrong to others and vice versa. Buddhism does have right and wrong, but it is looked at a little differently. Buddhism is closely aligned to karma, the law of cause and effect. If we act in a positive way, we are more likely to get positive results, and negative results will come from negative actions. What is the source of determining right and wrong? An action is right if we would promote a greater amount of happiness for a greater number of people than would any other. Guideline for right and wrong in Buddhism. If it harms others, but that benefit only ourselves, it is wrong, meaning a skillful action that creates bad karma for ourselves. If it harms both ourselves and others, then it is also wrong. If it benefits others but harms ourselves, then too it is wrong. If it benefits ourselves but doesn't harm others, then it is right. But if it benefits others and ourselves, then it is right. If it benefits others but doesn't harm ourselves, then it is right. The reason is people have set their own boundaries for everything. When that thin line of their boundary is broken, they feel it's wrong. Therefore, trying to determine right and wrong will only cause confusion, disagreement, and conflict among people. Number 10, let go of disputes. Learn to introspect and create a life of wisdom. Disputes or disagreements, arguments, or debate. How to avoid a dispute. Develop a good communication and relationship. When we speak gently and kindly and use I instead of you. You will sound like we are accusing the other person. Example, I would appreciate it if we don't do this, etc. Instead of you did this all wrong. So it sounds totally different. So always remember, use I instead of you. Introspect. Self-examine ourselves first to find out what we did wrong. This can prevent conflicts. Ways to resolve disputes. Talk directly with the person unless there is a threat of physical violence. Choose a good time when both parties are calm. Plan ahead. Think and plan what to say without harming or making the other person angry. Don't blame or name call. This will cause more arguments. Give information that will calm down the other person. Listen to what the other person has to say and do not take it negatively. Talk it out thoroughly and nicely to resolve the dispute. Communication is the key. Be open-minded. Put ourselves in their position and try to understand how the other person feels. Stick to one argument at a time, or it will create more conflicts and more confusion. How to have a good relationship with people. Mutual respect. Respect means that each person values who the other person is and understands the other person's boundaries. Trust. To trust each person and give each other the benefit of the doubt. Honesty. To be honest with each other. Compromise. Find the middle ground. Everyone gives in a little. Good communication. This is the key to all good relationships. Anger control. Do not blow up at every little thing. We must all try to control our anger. Number 11, let go of complexity. Learn to simplify and create a straightforward life. Complexity means complicated, the opposite of simplicity. It is a state of confusion and difficulty. It's a bad thing to be complicated. If a person is complicated, it refers to a high level of difficulty, and it will certainly take a lot of hard work to solve. Human relationships are enormously complex, requiring compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, and a desire to seek the happiness of the other person. Especially the relationship between spouses, where finding the pleasure of the other's happiness is making oneself happy. In other words, if our spouse is happy, then we will be happy, and vice versa. How to reduce complexity. Simplify our life in all aspects. Clear the underbrush. To clear all weeds and brushes in our life, and don't let them grow back. Always take the shortcut to everything. It will create less complications. Live and act with Tao and use our Buddha nature at all times. Adjust and rectify our thoughts, behavior, and actions. Make sure they are in line with Tao. Declutter our mind, streamline our day, and be successful at life. The simpler our life is, the happier we will be. Number 12. Let go of letting go. Learn to be thus and create a life of suchness. Tathata is a Sanskrit word in Buddhism for thusness or suchness, referring to the nature of reality, the way things are, the basic condition of everything. Suchness is the quality of being such, an essential or characteristic quality. Tattva is a Sanskrit word, means reality. It is commonly used in Mahayana Buddhism to represent the essential nature of reality or truth. So we must let go of letting go, learn to be thus, and create a life of suchness, to be like nature, to be with Tao. Conclusion. Holy Teacher says, hold on to mutual acceptance, forgiving and leniency or compassion while interacting with people. When we have a bad thought, guide our heart well, turn the thought around, and it becomes good. When we have a quarrel, think in this way. Maybe he regards me as a real friend, which is why he speaks like this to me, to give me an opportunity to improve myself. Therefore, even if others intentionally give us a hard time, do not be discouraged. It is a golden opportunity to repay what we owe, maybe from our previous lives. Whether things are good or bad depends on our way of thinking. When looking at another person, do not look at his or her faults or shortcomings. We should notice his or her strength and virtues. Everyone has their own self-respect, personality, and principles. But if we want to get along well with people, we need to put all these away and be humble. Forgiving people's mistakes does not mean letting them do wrong. Enduring people's humiliation does not mean being afraid of their power. Addressing people's mistakes does not mean disclosing their scars. Covering people's faults does not mean endorsing their sin. Giving people a helping hand does not mean promoting laziness. Asking people to let go does not mean tell them to give up. It's not easy to let go, but we must all try to our utmost in order to live a healthier and happier life and in order to return to absolute heaven. Our holy teacher, Jigong Buddha, bestowed on us the scripture on the 12 relinquishments to guide and help us all to learn to let go. We shall all follow and review these relinquishments daily to remind ourselves the things we all need to get rid of. It's difficult, but overcoming difficult things in life is a challenge, and we should try hard to get rid of them. It's part of our cultivation journey. Each one of us have experience in all these 12 relinquishments to a certain degree. We must acknowledge which ones we are weak in and try our hardest to overcome them. If we don't even try, we will never let go, and we may not be able to return to God when we are so attached to these emotions. If we can use our wisdom and our Buddha nature at all times to guide us, letting go of these 12 relinquishments will be much easier because we are following the Tao. Holy Teacher says, before we can understand Buddha nature, we need to know about the true human nature first. When interacting with people, we need to set ourselves aside, adjust our attitude. If we always demand people to accommodate, tolerate, and change their ways to suit us, then we cannot interact with people in harmony. However, most of us still use our human nature to guide us, and instead of letting go, we get more and more emotional and get into arguments and lashes out at people without thinking. That's not the Tao. When we use our Buddha nature to guide us, we will not lose our temper and get into conflicts or disputes with other people. We would use our loving kindness and compassion to deal with all sentient beings, whether it's our family, our siblings, our friends, our co-workers, or all people in society. The more we do that, the easier the letting go process is to us. These are all unhealthy emotions and toxic poisons to our body if we do not let go. When we can let go, we will be free from all emotions and toxicities and be in a state of suchness and live in a healthier and a blessed life of joy, happiness, and harmonious life, and be one with Tao. Holy Teacher says, cultivate our personality first. Then we can have the ability to influence others. Cultivate our heart to be big, accepting and tolerant, accepting others' opinions. A true cultivator needs to nurture the virtues of respect, generosity, trustworthiness, agility, and kindness. We don't need to go to absolute heaven to have joy and happiness. We can be in heaven in this earthly realm while we are still alive. Just learn to let go, and we will be with God and the Buddhas all the time. It's not up to each one of us to do that. No one can help us. We have to want to do it and try our utmost in this cultivation journey to let go. So this is the conclusion of my class today. If I have said anything wrong or I did not cover this topic well enough, I ask God and all the saints and Buddhas for their forgiveness, and I ask for corrections from transmitters and lecturers. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.